Hey, good morning. Welcome, friends. I'm in Guatemala. I just left Colombia yesterday. It must be, let's see, it's the 25th of April, 2024. And I wanted to talk today about my mother and my father. Okay. I've been laughing because I went on a kind of a deep dive looking at philosophy videos, and after about the 20th one, I was so annoyed I couldn't take it. Okay, I go, what are these guys doing? And then the other day, a friend of mine recommended a very good channel, According to Nicole, she's kind of a minimalist. She's recommending how to live type videos. Really very good. And she really edits these in a way that makes it impact, right? Sometimes I like editing, and other times I don't. I'm not in favor at all, really, of editing. But she's working really hard, and that makes me proud of her. Okay, but she's got some excellent advice, and thank you, Rich, for recommending it. Um, but the philosophy of talking dads and moms. Okay, uh, what is it when we hear our dad and mom talking? Are you trying to make your mother happy? Are you trying to make your father happy? I definitely am trying to make my mother happy. I try to be the man that would make my mother proud of me, and my father. I think of them up in heaven looking down at me saying, Andy, I'm proud of you, or I'm not proud of you. Definitely when I use profanity, my mother's not happy. Okay. But are you trying to make your father and mother happy? By how do you do that? You do it by obeying them. Okay. And in some ways, there's a positive reinforcement. There's a thing called operant conditioning, which is negative and positive reinforcement. And we have this desire to make our parents happy. Sometimes we were such bad children, okay, that the only way to recuperate it. I see this in Alcoholics Anonymous, where people get a sponsor, and the sponsor's a tough sponsor, they say. And I never could get along with the sponsor because they really wanted to be my boss and my father, okay? And I go, guys, I have a father. I don't need a father. I need somebody to talk to. But, I wasn't a bad child, right? I was a good person. I was always, just a overly curious child, okay? And I probably had problems drinking, I think, mainly because my computer ran too much, and I wanted to shut it off. Okay, I wanted to not be analyzing things. But in AA, they have these tough sponsors, and then these people get sober and they obey the sponsor for a year. And I think it's kind of repentance. It's a coming to grips with the fact that they've been a jerk for a long time, and if they obeyed their sponsor, they could get repentance from their mother and father. They could say to their mother and father, I'm a good person now. Okay, but what does this have to do with anything? Okay, I remember talking to my nephew, and I probably shouldn't use his name, right? And my brother was in the room, and I said to him, I said, can you tell your father to go F himself, right? And he goes, I would never do that. And here is the thing. This is the story of this video. I said, can you tell your father to go F himself, right? And he said, I would never do that. And I said, well, you will always be a boy until you can do that. And you will never be an adult until you are capable of telling your father to go F himself. Now, I don't want anybody to go tell their parents to go F themselves, but I have told my mother and my father to do that very strictly when they were getting too far out of control. See, fathers and mothers sometimes, they think that, I said, I'm 28 years old, I'm 30 years old, I have the right to do what I want to do. I don't. In one time they were up in a city up in Michigan, and they were telling me what I needed to do. And I go, I think you guys should F and get the hell out of here. And they go, this is my business, and I'm responsible for this business, okay, not you. And I have to take ultimate responsibility for this business. And my father goes, he said, he looks at mom. He said, Mom says, what do you think we should do? He says, I think we should obey. It's his business. And I was really proud of my mother and father. They always, after age 18, they said, you are responsible for yourself. And we no longer tell you what to do. You modulate, control, do whatever you want to do. I remember my dad tried to take away my car one time, and I said, okay, this car is yours then, okay? And he understood, and he gave me the keys back, okay, because I was serious. I'm not going to have control, okay, but what's this got to do with Nicole? According to Nicole, it's a channel. I'll try to put the link in the notes. I try to put notes every time I make a video, but Nicole, she sounds kind of like a mother. She's very motherly, okay? She's very kind of blasé in a way, but she's very good. But I'm going, gee whiz, you're not really giving me the music of language that I love, right? And I often think about this because I consider myself a philosopher. And I want to be an example of what you should be. I don't want to be a Jordan Peterson where he's sort of always serious, right? I want somebody to be the best representation of human flesh you can be. Okay, and this is a smiling person, a happy person, a charismatic person, a very honest person. But I'm seeing that it conflicts. I mean, after watching all these videos, I go, golly, all these philosophy videos, I said, everyone sounds like a grandfather talking to me. And I go, that is not the person I want to be. Okay, I don't want to be this really miserable, stoic, blah, blah, blah person. I want to be a happy, vibrant. When I walk into a room, I want to give energy to the city. I mean, that's my dyslexic kicking in, guys. People get really upset when I put the wrong word in there, but it's just the way my brain works. I cannot do anything about it. Okay, but I want to walk into the room and give energy to the room. And that is my goal. Okay, but how do I do that? That's by having a happy Andy, okay? And how do I do it? First is normally by honoring my mother and my father and being a good son and being a person that makes them proud of me. And I know that is me. Okay, I'm a person that makes my mother and father proud of me. They don't really like my brutal honesty, but that's me trying to take it to a higher level and be more functional. I have a lot of problems with the honesty issue because I'm too honest. Okay, and why do I have a problem? Because it's really hard to modulate honesty. You know, if you edit anything and you try to word something in a way that's more pleasing to people, I don't know. I think it's kind of a lie, right? But to be an adult, you got to be able to tell your father and your mother that I disagree with you in a nice way. Just say, hey, Mom, I'm going to do it this way, and I don't really, it's okay if you disagree, but I really am not going to sit around and lose sleep over you disagreeing over it. Luckily for me, I had parents that didn't lecture me, didn't give me days in. The only time I ever got a spanking that I really remember was with a ping pong paddle for getting a bad citizenship grade. And I always thank Mrs. Grable now, because Mrs. Grable, I went up and asked too many questions. She gave me a bad citizenship grade. And she made it so that I no longer listen to teachers, okay? Because what happens? We have these priests, we have these preachers, we have these teachers, we have these authority figures, and we're always trying to get their approval, okay? And there comes a point in your life where you have to go to adulthood where you are actually making your own decisions and not trying to make any of these people happy. But I realized that the internet is full of fathers and mothers talking, and I go, whoa, man, these philosophy people are really driving me crazy. I said, can we put it in another voice? Maybe it's AI in the future. They can sit there and say, yeah, give me all these 50 quotes on Plato, but in a way that makes me happy, not makes me feel like I'm getting a lecture from my father or my grandfather or my great-great-grandfather or somebody that has nothing to do with the person that I want to be. Okay, and there's the thing. You try to listen to people, you try to watch people that represent the type of person you want to be. Okay, so try to, in my opinion, make a decision when you're looking or listening to me or anybody else. Am I being an example of a person that you want to be? If you're watching Jordan Peterson, is he being the person that you want to be? And a lot of it comes down to, though, is we have this new woke generation where they're wanting us to approve of things that we don't really approve. And that's a lie, okay? Like, I'm not going to sit around and act like all these transgender things. I definitely don't think a man with a penis should be able to swim against a woman, okay? It's just not right. It's testosterone's a real thing. It's a hormone that makes men bigger, and there's a reason why we're bigger. But I remember one time my father, he was helping me collect rent, and we had this really poor black guy named Rufus. And I said, Dad, we got to file for eviction. He went to the courthouse to file, but he didn't do it. I go, why didn't you file for eviction? He says, he's poor, Andy. I said, Dad, I will be poor if I don't evict him. I said, do you want your son poor or you want Rufus poor? But he related to this poverty. One time I sent over Steve to paint in my mother and sister. I had these kind of good guy, really good guy, Steve, but he had 3 or 4 kids and lots of problems in the background. Don't get me wrong. He never was representing that when he was talking to me, but he went over to my mother and father and he starts talking about all the family problems. And my mom and dad go, Andy, you got to give Steve a raise. I said, I'm already paying him like $15 an hour. And I said, this man has a lot of criminal, and he was put in jail, okay? And he got divorced. This woman, I don't know, his wife divorced him or whatever. He got all upset and he robbed the bank. They put him in prison for 7 years. And I said, this man has tattoos, ponytail, and is really a good guy, but he's going to have trouble getting a job more than minimum wage. And I'm already paying him about double minimum wage. And I said, only thing I can do is fire him and let him try to find a better job. They go, oh, you can't do that. I said, Mom and Dad, this is a business. We have X amount of money to give, and I'm already paying this man double what he's worth. But see, these are issues that separate adult from children, right? An adult from children. And when we try to make the world happy, was anytime you care about what another person thinks, I think this is Lao Tzu or whatever like that, they're the ones that own you. The minute that you care and react or think or worry about what another person thinks of you, they are your master, okay? So a lot of people are watching a lot of videos to find a master. And I was listening to Cole and I was going, yeah, she's really good, and she's going to, a lot of kids are going to really benefit from this girl because there's a lot of children that need an adult child to talk, correct? She's pretty young. I don't know how old she is, but she seems like 25 or something, 28. I don't know, but she's really wise, and it's a switching off of going from a real mother to a woman, a girl talking like an adult, being an adult and talking to it. But you got to be careful here. I really want you to be careful because a lot of times people that come across is very fatherly, even, and sometimes Biden comes across very fatherly, right? Obama did this really good. And Obama, to me, was in a lot of ways, an evil man. He caused, in my opinion, the whole racial problem. He said to all the people in America, you have a problem. The white people are the problem. And that is not the problem, okay? The problem always starts with yourself, okay? It never starts with another person. If you, I can't say that word. You have internal problems and external things. External things don't cause your problem. It's how you internally deal with things. The United States is one of the most least racist places I've ever been on the planet. And I've been to 100 plus countries, right? I mean, when people act like the United States is racist, I said, the reason why a racial thing in the United States hits the world news is because it's so rare that it becomes a big news inside the United States. Well, in India, and there's countries, most of Europe is extremely racist against Israelis, okay? And they're much more capable of saying, America, we have learned to keep our mouths closed, okay? And that's how racism stops. You keep your mouth closed. The minute that you open up your mouth and say something about what black people do or women do or whatever, you are defining them, and that perpetuates the problem. So when you say something about women, all these things that you don't approve, that you really should be approving of, I should approve of all women doing what they think is best as an individual. I should be happy when blacks do what they do to be successful and have merit, and Latinos and Chinese and Indian. And I can't help it that the Chinese have a higher IQ than the Caucasians. Do you know that? Like Singapore and Hong Kong and all these guys have a lot higher IQ than the European thing. And Indiana's got a higher IQ than California. But that's just for fun, right? But philosophers, teachers, preachers sound like fathers and mothers. And when you obey them, you have to be careful. You got to really watch their actions and see if there's a correlation between what they say and what they do. Are they truly a good person? Because the first thing you should do when you start watching a video is try to determine, is the person's intentions to do the right thing? I have a lot of people very angry at me, and I'm sometimes always wondering why. But it's a lot to do with the truth, okay? And when you tell the truth, it's the way you make people angry. And I'm always trying to figure out, can I make the truth a little more easy to understand without so much pop, okay? Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. When you're listening to somebody sound like your father or your mother, be careful. You might want to obey the wrong person, right? That's the problem. And fortunately for most of the philosophers, Friedrich Nietzsche, he went into an insane asylum. He was a lot of times a very crazy person. That's not the goal of my life, right? My goal of my life is to be a vibrant person. We got to strive to be alive. We got to strive. We got to strive to be the best person we can be. And my philosophy on life is simple. Get up every morning and be a good boy all day. And when I'm questioning whether I'm being a good boy, I can talk to my mom, my dad, or the God as I understand him. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. I'm in Guatemala. I'm here and you're not. Why not? But be careful when you hear somebody that sounds like your mother and father. You might just obey the wrong person. A lot of preachers, a lot of priests, a lot of people that come across as authority figures are not the right examples. A lot, especially teachers and professors. They are by far. Okay, let me back up in a way. When you learn something, there should be what knowledge is used. Knowledge has very little value unless you put it into application. If you have knowledge and you haven't actually applied that knowledge, you really don't have that knowledge. You're just talking about something you know about. And this is the problem about philosophers. There's a lot of people that teach philosophy, but they don't actually live as a philosopher. Henry David Thoreau talked a lot about this problem here. You have people teaching philosophy, but you're not actually having people trying to be philosophers. And knowledge is the same thing. It's got to be bonded with the ability to do the action. So it's like going to, a business thing, studying how to invest in stocks, and the teacher doesn't have stocks and hasn't won at the game. Not the right person. So a stockbroker really is, I would think always at a certain level, a stockbroker should stop working for clients because they have so much money that they don't need to work with clients. Although there is a value of working with people that are analyzing things, because there's a synergy of talking and explaining stuff that makes you better at what you do. So knowledge not connected to actions is just a teacher, not actually a person that's applying their knowledge. So be very, very careful with teachers, and make sure that the teachers of your children are the best possible example of humanity that you want, because your children are going to copy these people. That's the scary part. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham in Guatemala. I'm here and you're not. Why not?